Welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your weekly developer podcast. Frank, I was recently in the Qatar airport on my way back from some big travel. People may not have known, but I was gone. I gave you a 3-week vacation from listening to me podcast with you because we pre-podcasted.
Man, I got excited there. I really thought you said Qatar airport there. You mean the Qatar airport. Okay, gotcha.
Qatar.
Qatar. Yeah, depends on where in the world you're from.
It's very true. I told Heather, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Qatar. And then she's like, no, it's Qatar. And then we're on.
It's hotly debated. I've been in very deep arguments with friends because literally it's almost a Britishism and Americanism. You know, I find like a lot of Indian chaps will say Qatar versus we're raised to say Qatar, but whatever. That's fun.
When I listen to NPR News, because right now a lot of the different negotiations are happening in Qatar, they always say Qatar, and I was like, okay, well, if NPR, that must just be though from a certain region. But when we're on Qatar Airlines, they're like, welcome to Qatar, and like even how they pronounce it, like on the airlines, I was like, okay, I guess it's Qatar. But then there were some announcements they made where it was kind of like a hybrid. It was like, Qatar or whatever. Just I don't know how they pronounce it. Anyways, we were in Doha for on a stopover on the way back, but I was in the Doha airport on Friday morning. Our flight was at 8 a.m. and we were going through the security check, and in the Doha airport is an Apple store. And they were legitimately,
of course,
hanging the banner for the new iPhone 16 with Apple Intelligence. And people were queuing in line to be there. And I'm pretty sure we saw the first iPhone getting sold in Qatar on our return flight home. So
that's funny. And I bet you they had like an early shipment too. Like that's an easy flight for them, It's just, drop it off at the airport, no problem.
They were just wheeling them around. I was like, do we need to go get a new iPhone right now? I don't know. I assume they're all the same, the bands and all the different things wherever, but we did not get a new iPhone at all. However, I was given a glimpse of something new and shiny 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, 5 seconds ago, I gave you a glimpse of desert pink, I like to call it. Ooh. Yes, James, I finally bought a phone as predicted. I honestly, I spent way more money than I should have to get a USB-C port, because that's all I really want out of this silly thing. I watched the MKBHD video, and he's like, yeah, these iPhones have plateaued. I'm like, yeah, they plateaued about 8 iPhones ago, but you know what? It's in desert pink now, and I like it. You know what they did? They added a tiny bit of a bevel to the edge so it doesn't dig into your palm quite as much when you're holding it. Very nice also. So USB-C port and doesn't quite dig into my palm like it used to. Worth every penny. People make fun of me for buying the Vision Pro. Worth every penny. I tell you, every freaking penny.
Oh my goodness. I'll say this, so Frank and I haven't talked in 3 weeks, over 3 weeks, and we were gonna go create some YouTube shorts or something, and then I was in the middle of South Africa and Mauritius and other places on holiday, and I just never texted. I didn't text anybody. I didn't text anybody like at all. So I didn't even text you at all. Just like we're like taking the time off. I gave you a little holiday.
I assumed you were alive.
I was there. I was good. Everything was great. And I did watch the Apple event, the recap. Before we get to your iPhone 16, let's do a quick one over of the Apple event, because obviously they sold you enough that you got a new iPhone 16 Pro. So what did you think of the event really quick? Any of the updates kind of going from our rumor podcast to actually like, okay, are you buying anything?
Well, I will say I was thoroughly disappointed that there was no flat phone this year. So that prediction completely fell on its face. I knew it would never happen. It didn't happen. This phone has quite the bump to it. So new phone, bigger bump. I don't know. Is it a bigger bump?
Yeah.
Feels like the same bump. Um, I, it, the Apple event overall, nothing groundbreaking. I think roughly 4 years ago, I said, James, isn't it wonderful that nothing ever breaks anymore with updates and everything? And boy, we've gone that for 4 years. I'm almost in the mood for some more shakeup because, yeah, there was nothing too groundbreaking. Um, some things got cheaper. Some things got a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Some things got GPS or satellite SOS,
Yeah.
which I can't wait to use someday. I think I can text message you with satellite, so even when you are in the middle of, I don't know, Kruger National Park, I don't know what's down there, um, you could be we could be texting each other at 1 bit per second.
I love that. Yeah. Heather she has the one where she can do them like when we are traveling through the Cascades, the little icon comes up that I think she can do the SOS. I don't know if she can do the iMessage stuff on the iPhone. Does she have the
I
15,
think that's what's
14?
new. And
Mm,
honestly, I'm a terrible reporter here. I can't even tell you what models and what you need to support it. But
yeah.
for some god awful reason, they're allowing text messages through the satellite system.
That's wild to me. It is bananas that any of that works. No, and I agree with you. So I think the event overall, like the recap, I was actually a little bit disappointed because the rumors that we were like one of the most excited about was I think the potential of a new Apple Watch that was plastic, cheaper, more for everyone. That didn't
Swatch.
happen. Didn't
Apple
happen.
Swatch.
Apple
Yeah.
Swatch.
I came up
This,
with it 3 weeks too late. Yeah.
yeah. I think that the new watches all seem nice. Again, I'm like, okay, well they're thinner, they're this. I was like, my watch still works. I just can't justify. You know what I mean?
See,
So
my watch doesn't even work. It can only hold a charge for 8 hours. And yet I only wear it for about 8 hours. So
yeah,
I guess it works. Um, but I really thought it was going to be a watch upgrade year. But I spent so much on this stupid desert titanium phone. By the way, I had to get the 512 gigabyte model because it turns out I have 260 gigabytes of data, and
oh my
that's
gosh,
4 more gigabytes than 256. Anyway, that I did not want to actually buy the watch. Maybe in 6 months after the price shock is over with, then I'll
yeah,
get into the watch territory.
yeah.
But yeah, they were whatever the tick or the talk. They were definitely the incremental upgrades. Nothing groundbreaking. They're not telling me when I'm gonna die yet.
Yeah. I thought overall that the new iPhones, normal ones, looked pretty good. I like the colors that they came out with for them. I think that the pros, obviously, with the cameras and all the other stuff they did, I did feel like they were just sort of rehashing the WWDC sort of Apple Intelligence announcement, and here's all the stuff again. But did you get the iPhone 16 Pro or the Pro Max? Which one did
I
you go
got the
for?
Pro.
Yeah.
I've been off the Max wagon for quite
They're
a while now.
so big.
Ever since
Um,
the 10, I think. Yeah, I've been enjoying the smaller size. It got a little bigger, or the screen got a little bigger. Something got a little bigger, but it feels the same in the hand, so it's
yeah,
fine. Maxes are cool if you got big hands. I just don't have big hands, so I'm not a Max guy. Nor
yeah.
my pocket. My God, this thing barely fits in my pocket anyway.
I think the nice thing is that pretty much they're exactly the same devices at this point. There's nothing special. I believe that even the camera systems are exactly the same. Like it was like, oh, the 5X was only on the Pro Max or whatever previously, and these other things. So I think now they're all
Optical
the same.
stabilization. Apple and its infinite chase for the greatest camera on the planet. I'm sad that the Pro model. I'm sorry, I repeat myself every year saying this. I'm sad that Apple's definition of a pro user is a pro photographer.
Yep.
I'm not. I'm a, oh, that looks nice, once a week kind of photographer. What I want out of the Pro are the now, thankfully, advanced AI features. We'll get into that a little bit. Um, but in terms of them adding a new camera or optical stabilization, which used to be the big thing in the Maxes, I don't care. Give me that
Yeah.
flat phone. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with that topic.
Well, the thing with the camera bumps that is kind of ridiculous because I have currently the iPhone 11. Oh yeah, the 11. Yeah, the 11, which has the three cameras, 11 Pro, but the camera bumps
Mm.
are quite shallow. The camera bumps on yours, they are legit thick. So much, by the way, when Heather
Oof.
goes to wirelessly charge her device, it it can't sit. Like what happens is the camera
Oh,
bumps
I
are so
believe
big,
it.
it lifts the phone off the ground and the wireless can't get it
You
on
need to
like almost
3D
all
print
of our
you a
wireless
mold.
chargers. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yep. So
You need the vertical ones, the ones where it stands up a little bit or something like that.
yep.
Or the MagSafe ones. The MagSafe ones are pretty hot. Those are kind
Yeah.
of cool. I
Yep.
need to get into that lifestyle, but I don't know, man. These cameras are just. You know what though? There's even a new bump. There's a
What's
new bump for the cameras.
what's the other?
Okay,
There's like
you
another new
had
bump.
three
Yeah.
you had three cameras. I
Three
have three
cameras.
cameras.
Mm-hmm.
One big bump, three smaller bumps.
Yep.
There's a new bump on the side. Side
Oh,
bump.
new bump. Side bump.
Well, it's
Camera.
supposed to be shallow. Okay, I don't know if you have this problem. Have you ever tried to put your phone in a clamp so that you can take like steady video?
Yeah.
Because
A
my
gimbal.
yeah, it's actually really that's stabilization's really good. But like sometimes I need to record myself and I want to put it on a stand or something like that. And there are very few places on the iPhone where you can clamp this puppy.
Yeah.
And James, they have put a new bump right where the last spot you were possibly able to clamp. By the way, they moved the on off button down, so
Oh.
less clamp spots. But that clamp
Oh.
spot was already taken because of the volume buttons.
Yeah.
But now there is a new recessed bump, not technically a bump, but a button.
Oh. A
The
button.
button is the shutter button. It's technically programmable. I haven't dove deep into this, but it's an action button, so you can have it start up different things. But by default, it starts up the camera app, and it's actually pretty neat. It's a touch sensitive button,
Oh,
so you
that's
can
cool.
both depress it, so it's physical. It's not haptic. So it's going to be haptic. We all know it's going to be haptic someday, but for now, you actually depress it, and whatever it does, whatever. Uh, Default, open the camera app. When you're in the camera app, it's the shutter. So every programmer out there, if you have a camera app, make sure you support it because everyone's going to
Yeah.
be pressing the new bump. Um, I have mixed feelings about it because, like I said, I had so much trouble already putting this stupid thing into a clamp. We'll
Yeah.
see how that goes. Maybe it'll be great because already definitely I use the tiny little camera icon in the lock screen to open the camera app all the time. So hopefully the new bump will be worth it. It's there. It works well. Um, Thumbs up, except boy, I'm never gonna be able to clamp this thing. They gotta
Yeah.
make they gotta make
I already
horizontal clamps.
I already have problems with like when I'm on my bike and I have this like the thing where you put it in and then there's like
Right.
little rubber things and like those like you have
Yes.
to put them in a very specific position then because it's like it
All of a
clamps
sudden
and
Siri
then
started up and then it's like,
yeah
is this an emergency? And then it's like starting your music. You're like, no, I'm
yeah
just trying to clamp you down. I wish there was a home screen button called ignore physical buttons for the next 5 seconds.
well
I'm gonna press all the buttons.
I on my Pixel device it has the thing where you can like squeeze the sides and then it
Ooh.
would like bring up whatever the Google
Bend gate.
assistant is or whatever. But the problem is like when you put it in a clamp, what is it doing? It's like clamping the sides. So it's like you
Oh,
got to
funny.
disable that. It's like, it's just like, so I know. And then the other part too is because there's the rubber parts that go on the side, it also covers a bit of the face unlock, with the little rubber, because it's in the clamp, and then you put the little rubber things on the side so it really holds it in place, because you're on a bicycle, right? You
I
just can't
like
mag
it.
safe
Yeah.
that. But like the little rubber thing, like just enough covers some of the, not the cameras on the face, but the other sensors in there, so it can't face
Yeah.
unlock. So then you're like, oh, it falls back, and it's like annoying. You're just like, oh, there's so many things in so many places on the phone. So now you got another button that you got to mess with, I guess. That's just gonna throw you
Well,
off. And then yeah, I am looking at the button placement. I guess the new power button aligns closer with the up down button, but at the same time, there is not a lot of room anywhere on the
nothing.
device to clamp
Nothing.
anything. Huh.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's gotten to the point where I look across the room and I see a 3D printer, and I'm like, I can make a clamp. I can make a
Yeah.
clamp that perfectly fit this phone and not touch any of these finicky little buttons that Apple has. And it will even expose all those buttons, put little springs on the edges.
Yeah.
I'm like, but then I go to Amazon. I'm like, iPhone, iPhone. What are we up to? 16, 18? I don't even know.
16.
iOS
16
18,
Pro. Yeah.
iPhone 16 clamps. No one's got anything. So I'm like, then I
No.
look at the 3D printer. Then I look at Amazon. Then I look at the 3D printer. I'm gonna break down one of these, James, and I'm gonna make the perfect iPhone clamp.
I'm sure DJI is working on something, so don't worry. It'll come. Have you so on the camera button? Have you used it as a camera button? I know, because it's not only just a shutter, but it's
Yeah,
also like scrolly, and you can scroll and zoom and stuff. Does that work, or is it, because it's not like it's big? I think when I have my Canon camera, if I want to zoom, like obviously I can like zoom in, and then also I can adjust things. There's like a little circle thingy that you can adjust to. But yeah, this is like a little tiny slider, like, but there's not a lot of room there. So I don't know how big your finger is, but like, how is that working out for you with the new camera button to actually take a photo and use it compared to just using the camera? They're like the touch screen. You know what I mean?
preview. Allow me to complain about the new camera app, but before we get there, it's excellent, James.
Oh,
Oh,
that's good.
it's capacitive touch.
Ooh,
So you physically depress the button. It recesses quite a bit, which is new for the iPhone.
okay.
I
Yeah.
dig it. It's a new sensation. um, And then when you, I'm a landscape guy, whatever, vertical, whatever. Okay, in landscape, as you scroll left, it zooms whatever direction. As you scroll right, it zooms whatever direction. It's incredibly smooth,
Hmm.
far better than multi touch because I don't know. Your fingers just there, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so the only choice you have to make basically is video or photo because no one uses any of the other modes. So those are all specialty modes. You're ready to go into misery if you want to use any of the other modes. So you just toggle between photo and video, and the little button does the rest. I almost wish there were two buttons, photo and video, but
Mm,
we won't go that far because I can't clamp to this thing already. But I'll say it's actually way better than doing the whole. I will say when I do the multi-touch zoom, the other thing I do is I pick my color exposure points, the brightness exposure point, so I can
yeah.
choose what I want exposed.
Oh, nice.
Um, you know, that's never worked that well anyway, so whatever. I'm happy to have the zoom, especially this phone. I skipped. Perhaps the last generation had it. I went from a 14 up. This has the 5x optical zoom,
Ooh,
which
that's nice.
I tell you, you can really get up into things. I almost want to use this puppy as a microscope, but it was too expensive to use as a microscope. But boy, that 5x zoom, that's fun times.
Yeah. On this trip that we just took, I brought my Canon camera, the one that we're using here, and I have a 55 200 lens, so I can really zoom in, which is great when you're like
Hmm.
viewing animals or just doing around the city to really get in. Because we did a test. Funnily enough, talking about the photo zoom, is Heather has the 14 Pro, yeah, not the 15, 14 Pro, and it has the 3x, which is pretty fantastic.
Hmm.
3x, I think 3x. No, 2x.
Definitely
3x.
2x. I think 2x was this. I had a 2x. I
It
don't know
might
what
be
the There was a
2x.
0.5, a 1x, a 2x, and that was it, I think.
I think the Pro, one of them had a 3x, I thought. Anyways, maybe it only
Perhaps.
has a 2x. But what we did is we went to the hallway and we were like, okay, what's the furthest apart that we can get in our house from each other? And I said, okay, like with your iPhone, take
Yeah.
a take a
Yeah.
photo of me, like
A
zoom
face
in
or
of the
something. Yeah.
face. I'll
Yeah.
get out my telescopic, it's not even a big one, right? It's like a nice one. And then I'm like, let's compare side by side on it. And then we're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, my camera's way better because it's it's not a digital zoom at that point. For her to zoom in, she had to get to the digital zoom,
Yeah.
which, is as good as the iPhone is, it's there. And I would say this is, even we took a lot of photos, and we surprisingly actually always bring an Android device with us when we're doing international travel. I have my Android device, the iPhone devices, and then my actual camera. And you're going to get 3 different photos no matter what. That being
Mhm.
said, one thing that still blows my mind is photos at night. The My Pixel 4 device, which is like literally falling apart, as band-aids on it, holding it together at this point.
I see
It
that.
it it Qatar is very hot.
I see.
And we have the night sight mode on, iPhone. When you're at night, it does the long exposure, like hold this for 2 seconds, whatever, right? Android has had this night sight mode for a long time, and it is incredible. The photos that
Mhm.
it takes in the night sight mode at night, we did the
Right.
same photo side by side. My actual nice camera, which still struggles at night with exposure, it can do like 1 over, whatever. I can do like a long exposure, right? I can do a long exposure, like
Gotta
5 seconds,
clamp
10
it
seconds.
down. Gotta clamp
Clamp it
that
down. You can
puppy.
clamp it if you hold it. But the night sight mode on the Android phones, like if it has it, it's good cameras. The Pixel 4 that have it's nice cameras,
Mhm.
way better than the iPhone at night. Just like night, the
Okay.
detail,
Yeah.
like what it can do is just like mind boggling, right? Even on the default iPhone, maybe on the Pro modes, like it's Heather as the Pro. Like you're right. Like there's probably a bunch of things that she could go and do in this, but like it's not. I don't know. Maybe there are tons of
Yeah.
settings to really get it dial in the exposure, but again, like you're saying, is if the Pro is really, and they kind of talked about this in the event too, is like all the things that they show with the iPhones, like people are doing gimbals and doing a traditional video making and this and that. It's like, I don't know, just give me the best photo that you can, like out of the box, like hit the button, go.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's
I
nice to see the photo in the different devices, and they all look completely different.
That's fun. I love doing tests like that.
Yeah.
Because like in general, optics matter. So like your giant telescoping lens, that's a good thing. I think Google's probably I'm talking completely out of hand here, completely randomly. Google's probably cheating a little bit with an AI
Oh
because
yeah.
these camera sensors are only so good. If you get the raw sensor feed off the camera, you're like, oh, this is trash. It's kind of a miracle. So, uh, half of Apple's goodness is their optics and their stable physical stabilization. The other half is their software. And I think Google's just showing off. They just happen to have better software for different modes and things like that.
Yeah.
Overall, the Apple one's okay. I think they still mess up some photos like sunrise, sunset. Th- those are impossibly hard colors to match to the way the human eye perceives them.
Yeah.
Um, and it does a terrible job. But I have incredibly high standards, but it does an incredibly bad job. You just kind of have to fake it because the poor lens is, sorry, not the lens, the sensor is just seeing just this terrible data, and it has to
Yeah.
make sense of it.
It can only do
Okay,
so much in the
tangents
sensor.
aside,
Yeah.
so I assume Google's cheating, and by cheating I mean AIing that puppy up.
Oh,
But
oh yeah.
it's been some nice starry nights, and I haven't tried the 5x optical on some stars. We'll see. The moon has been out. It's been blindingly bright, so it should be able to get at least a few good moon shots.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. That's the one thing I will say. Like having on her phone, like whatever the X is compared to whatever I have on this one, I'm like, oh, it's like way better. You know what I mean? And it's like I wish that she had the 5X because I think that'd be super nice. And she takes all
Well,
the photographs. So, I mean, that's the one reason maybe to upgrade for her is like, because she does take like all the photographs, like on all of our travels. So I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah, don't put me in charge. I still get my thumb in the picture. I still have blurry ones. Not as bad as my mom, but like blurry ones, like you're moving while you take the photo and things like that. But as a weird perspective, I've put a camera on this robot lawnmower thing that I've built, and it's amazing how bad all that photography is without like good stabilization and things like that. And I go out there and I take like the same video bouncing along on the same robot with the iPhone, and it's like gorgeous and smooth
Yeah.
and looks like a Hollywood dolly tracking shot or something like that. And you're like, gosh darn it, Apple, you really have invested a lot of money into making this good. So that's part of the cost, I guess, is getting that stupid stabilization. And I appreciate that from an engineering standpoint because I'm trying to replicate it and it's not so easy.
Yeah. Even on the Canon camera that I have, it has, stabilization in the lens. The lenses have them. And when I do video at 1080p, it's good, but it's not as good as the iPhone. You know what I mean? It's just like it's
Yeah.
so good. You really need it. And especially if
You
you're
got to
zoomed
buy
in,
a
like
proper dolly.
yeah,
Yeah.
you really need it. Yeah. And the more you're zoomed in, the less forgiving it is, right? So if I have my
Hmm.
200 millimeter out and I'm really zoomed in, it's way less forgiving than if I'm just at normal mode. So like that's the nice thing about these iPhones. You're doing all these different things. You take. Yeah, I'm really more into more photo or videos now too. Try to do always videos more.
That's I keep looking for this app and no one's written it. And someday I'm just gonna write it, but I want an app that tracks the wide camera to say like there's an
Mm,
object I want to track, but then also feeds in the zoom lens and tells me how to orient my stupid phone so that the object I want to track there's pretty birds where I live. Okay, I'm trying to track birds, and I'm
yeah.
terrible at it. You like zoom in at the bird, and then it takes a hard right, and you're like, I lost the bird. All of a sudden, you're just like way too zoomed in. You can't track the stupid bird. So it, I think there's improvements to make there in all of that. It's still the stabilization problem, but like Apple's really nailed the I'm running through a forest and I'm trying to take some good video, but I also want the stabilization and the helping hand of I'm trying to track a fast moving object, and I stink at it.
Yeah. That is, I think that will be sort of the next part because, when you're in the video mode and it has the auto focusing on and tracking people as they move around, mode on these new phones,
Hmm.
especially when you're doing a FaceTime call, which is super cool, but it's not super fast. You know what I mean? So I do think that would be super cool. I totally agree because imagine, yeah, you're doing birds or your animal, your dog or whatever. Like, yeah, they're moving, your child, right? And you're trying to get them. Just like, oh no, just like
You're
go
like, where'd it
here,
go? Where'd the
just get
child
them.
go?
I think that would be super cool. All right, well let's get
New app
into
idea.
it. How is the new Apple Intelligence? All the features are out. Everything's on the phone. You bought this new phone. You're like, wow, AI. It's everywhere. Big fan of all the new AI features. How is the Apple Intelligence? That's what it's marketed as. This is the Apple Intelligence phone. It says I'm looking at iPhone 16 Pro on the website. It says iPhone 16 Pro.
Uh huh.
Hello, Apple Intelligence. Buy
Hello.
now. So how is Apple
Hi.
Intelligence?
Non-existent.
Oh no, what happened?
Hey, do you remember follow up from an episode 3 weeks ago that we recorded?
Yeah.
There's this mysterious thing called iOS 18.1 beta.
Oh,
Do you know what
interesting.
that point one is? Point one is AI. Point one is intelligence. You know what
Oh,
point zero is? You know how much intelligence point zero is? Zero
zero.
intelligence.
That's the off, the 0 bit. They have the 0 bit
Zero.
on. They
Yes.
change it
Yeah.
to anything but zero. Then that's the feature flag. That's the feature flag flip.
So this is a real mess up on Apple's part.
Oh
Usually they
no.
delay products for this, and they chose not to. But for whatever reason, they decided not to ship the fancy AI features, which we're all desperate for. We want Apple to have
Hmm.
in the shipping version of iOS 18 at launch time, 18.0, which is the version baked onto these phones when you receive it, because no one wants to do an update and no one wants to do a beta update when you get a new phone. Not even
Yeah.
me. You even asked me, "Do you want to update to the beta?" I'm like, "Oh no, no. Let's get iCloud all happy first, and then we'll think about updating
Yeah.
to betas." Uh, so yeah, it's a little bit sad. So all the intelligence features are in the 18.1 beta,
Oh,
which super sad at time of recording. We're recording a little bit earlier than I was expecting. I wasn't able to actually get the beta installed. But I blame Apple. They should have had that puppy ready to go. I mean, if the beta's out, the beta's out. They should have had that puppy ready to go by the time they ship these phones, which oddly enough, I did manage to get my phone on September 20th, even though I live on an island and I totally forgot to wake up in time to order it.
wow.
Um, I was late and Apple's late. We're all just late.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I do see underneath that there's a little asterisk. This is Apple Intelligence available this fall. It says Apple Intelligence will be available in beta on all iPhone 16 models, iPhone 15 Pro, and iPhone 15 Pro Max with Siri and device language set to US English as an
Mm,
iOS 18 update this fall. Some features and additional languages will be coming over the course of the next year. Wow, that is very fascinating for a phone in which I did believe that
yeah.
AI was supposed to be the main thing.
Okay.
I
Look.
thought that there was two parts to the AI. Now you got to correct me, Frank. I thought that there was at launch going to be the Siri. I'm sorry, I just set off so many phones. The Dingus updates to the built-in Dingus app, right?
You're
And that there would
incorrect.
be on-device AI. So, for example, if you're in the email app, it would maybe prioritize, or if you're inside of iMessage, it would do some AI stuff. And then there was going to be I want to talk to OpenAI and ChatGPT features there. So is none of that available at all, or is some of that available?
None.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. Well,
Oh,
what we do have though is a new piece of hardware with a ton of RAM on it.
nice.
So if you
Nailed it.
happen to be in my beta group in my test flight, my AI networks are running fantastic. Oh my god, there is so much RAM on this device. It just computing words after word, no problem. Does Apple do that? No, no, zero
Zero.
intelligence.
Zero intelligence.
The
Wow.
good
That
news
is
is the beta's out now, so everyone's
okay.
going to get it. This is just early days problem, but it is disappointing to spend a ton of money on a new phone and not have any of those new features or anything like that.
Yeah.
Kind of sad. Siri's still a little bit stupid. I
Hmm.
didn't know it was English only for the next round. So I will say the phone is wonderfully capable. Um,
Yeah.
it's I almost can't use it as a dev device because it's so unrealistically fast and powerful compared to everyone else's. I mean, let's just
Yeah.
say like I can go look at the statistics for who's running like iCircuit and like no, this phone's twice as fast. So um maybe have to keep using the old phone as the dev device because it's certainly capable, but we're all going to have to wait for this fall to get smart dingus.
Gotcha. Well, we will hopefully we'll record again on Tuesday. So yeah, we're recording this on the 21st and it did just come out yesterday, so hands on. So we'll record the next one on the 24th and we'll see if Frank's able to get
Yeah,
some intelligence into his iPhone. We'll go
get some
hands on
point
with
one
it.
in there. Point one
Nice.
intelligence,
Point
not
one
1.0.
intelligence. That's very fascinating because I legitimately saw. So this is where very fascinating Apple's is threading a needle here on not only the marketing material but also on the ads, because I saw an advertisement for the iPhone 16 Pro where the advertisement was literally them. They were like at a coffee shop and the girl asked her phone, who is that person that I saw on this thing back in October, into Dingus, and Dingus was like, oh, like you met George or whatever. And then she was like, hello,
Mm-hmm.
George. And then the person like brought out they're like, oh, I don't even know who you are, or whatever. You know what I mean? And they're like, iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. Like, but I'm sure there's some disclaimer underneath. But that is interesting. So,
I mean, I say I bought this phone for the USB-C port. Um, I like the phone most because it doesn't dig into my hand as much as the old phone did.
yeah,
But the other reason I bought it was so that I would get Smart Dingus and all of that. So I'm very excited for it. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's indexing all that data right now. Maybe it's, and the
preparing.
UI is just not updated and all that kind of stuff. You know how Apple works. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sure all those APIs are there and doing all that stuff. I hope there isn't like a 3-day indexing to get Smart Dingus working or anything like that. I want to ask it everything about my email because I don't read the email. I really want the dingus to read my email so I can
yeah,
just ask it anything interesting happening. That's all I want to ask. That's the only question I wanted to answer. I will report back in 3 days.
perfect. I like that. Yeah, I will say that the things that excite me about more on device AI is what has excited me about a lot of the Copilot stuff that has been going on in the Microsoft stack around like Office 365 stuff, because like I use Copilot every single day in Microsoft Teams for like AI notes, recordings.
Mm.
I use it all the time. The one cool thing that we did recently is we're doing some like customer stories at work, and what we legitimately did was take like the live transcription and the notes
Oh,
from a meeting where we did an interview with a customer, and then we put that into Copilot, like ChatGPT, say
fascinating.
generate
Yeah.
like here's the prompt, like write a big prompt, and then we took the transcript, like using this transcript, do that, and like generated an entire write up case study with bullet points, and you could really, and I was like, wow, like this thing is like so cool. Um,
Neat.
and then inside of like Outlook is doing all these smart features, and they just announced the latest Copilot like Wave 2 stuff as well, which will do even more sort of those things. So the best AI, in my opinion, is AI that is just there doing stuff automatically for you, right? So to me, what that means is, does it mean when I'm doing calendar invite creation that it just is smarter to do that? Is it helping me summarize my emails faster? Is it the search just 1,000 times better? Just stuff that I'm doing normally, but everything is just way better, right? And I do think
Yeah.
that the more I just use normal like browsing, like Binging or Googling, there's way more helpful stuff that those engines can be doing if I give it a bigger prompt of what I want instead of just serving up web pages. It's
Yeah.
like I was literally trying to find. We were in some airport. Oh yeah, we're in SeaTac, and
Somewhere.
we're flying home, and we saw, oh, it's interesting. Like Medford, Oregon has like an international airport. I was like, oh, what's international about it? It's like a tiny airport. What's the third biggest airport in Oregon? But
Yeah.
I was like, what's international about it? And like I looked at the Wikipedia article, and it's like, oh, in 1998 it did whatever. And I put in the longest like searches. I'm trying to find like what is the international
Yeah.
flight, and I couldn't find any information. I was like, oh, I'm like, I bet if I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, it would have some index of all this other stuff. Sure enough, but I was
Maybe.
like, I just can't
Or to
find it.
hallucinate.
It would hallucinate it probably, but all the search results it was giving me back were just like flight aware stuff, and I was like, okay, like I get it, SEO optimization, but Google like, but I do think that some of the
Yeah.
AI features, if you can get some hands on it, I'll be fascinated. But I will say this, like the other thing I really hope that it does, and I don't know how much, is I've been really playing around with a lot of photos in Google Photos, and this is the first time I've really
Oh.
used my Android device, and it's doing all these nice AI features. It's like, oh, let me just like fit. It's telling you what to do before you know what to do with it, right? It's like, oh, do you want me to fix the sky? Do you want me to make this less blurry? Do you want me to do this? It's
Oh.
like so what it's doing is it's taking the photo and it's analyzing it, right? It's analyzing it in real time, maybe on some server somewhere. I don't know what it's doing. And it's saying like, hey, here's where I think I can help you with this photo. Instead of you trying to go into all the filters, I'm like, oh, that's smart. It's like, yeah, you tell me. I don't know what to do to make this photo better. I'm an idiot. You help me. And sure enough, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like it knows the features of the AI that it can process. Like, oh yeah, go
Okay.
fix this up and make it better. So I'm hoping that when you get the new features, like I'm wondering how deep it goes and how much you have to go find the things versus it exposing those features to you. So we'll see.
Boy, you just made me really sad because that is an awesome feature, and I my mind just went a buzzing about a million ways I could implement that and write my own app and I'll do all that kind of stuff, whatever. But cool feature. Love that feature. And then you made me sad because I realized I never actually got to do my camera app rant. And I'll just say this much: their great new feature in the camera app is a new way to set the color tone in your
Oh,
image, and they're so proud of it that they ask you, "Do you want to try this new feature?" And I'm like, "Well, new OS, I want to try this feature."
yeah.
Say yes. They put me into a color selection mode I've never seen before. New mode, obviously, but there's a million other selection modes around it. I try their new color selection mode. It's meh. I'm like, it's
Oh,
another hue picker. Great, thanks.
yeah.
I cannot get out of the color selector
Oh
thing
no.
with their UI. I cannot get the app back to like camera mode, like normal camera mode. And I have screenshot after screenshot. I just kept getting deeper and deeper into their crazier UI. This camera app has features of the like you've never imagined. You've never I tell you, we have a big audience, but you haven't seen all the features in the camera app. So I challenge everyone in iOS 18, try every single feature in the iOS 18 camera app and please write in and tell me about them.
I haven't upgraded yet. I need to get my phone on iOS 18 and see like what they've changed and like what's available to me, because I do remember them showing off that feature. But yeah, I I think that there should just be a simple like reset options, right? Even on my Canon, there's like reset everything
Oh
to
my
defaults,
God.
because you're gonna because on even on like the Canon camera, like there's a touchscreen, like you can just there's like you hit a button and then all of a sudden it's like thousands of things. You're like, I don't know what's going on, right? And you're like, oh, let me experiment. You're like, how do I get it? And like literally on the
Yeah.
Canon camera, it's like reset, and it's just like reset it back to the default. It's like, oh yeah, you need that.
As I was trying to exit the color selector, I kept going into new color selectors. And so I would accidentally change something, and I'm like, please, how do I put it back to the default? And there was no like put back to default button. There was
Oh
like,
no.
you had to like, it's all Apple UIs, so you had to slide the slider back to the center and all that stuff. So every setting I accidentally clicked in order to get out of the color settings, I had to figure out also how to undo that setting.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, everyone, if you get stuck in the color settings, all the color settings are at the bottom of the phone. There is a tiny little yellow arrow at the top of your phone. Toggle the yellow arrow, and that'll make your color settings appear and disappear. Why is the toggle completely detached from the settings
Oh
themselves?
yeah.
Who knows? Ask a UI engineer.
I you know Yeah, it is a little arrow, but then you think that the arrow would hide or show something by where the arrow is at, but no, it's
No.
below. Yeah, I always
And it gets
forget.
worse. And you get into submenu after submenu, and there's a navigation stack within the color selector. It's wonderful.
I never. Oh, I don't even. I'm not gonna press a
So
button.
whereas Google is telling people how to improve their photos, Apple
Yes.
is just giving us 8 billion different ways to change the hue of our photos.
That's the power of AI, buddy. That's good. Uh, Well, cool. Well, we'll let you know what the AI features are next week when Frank gets it updated to 18.1 beta. I should update mine to 18. Is there? Let me see if it's even available. What am I on? Let me look. Hold on, really quick here. Let me just general
You've
about
been flying around so much, you're probably on that
seven.
17
No, seven
garbage.
17.7.
Boring.
iOS is up to date.
Your color pickers probably only have 2 levels of
Oh,
depth.
oh, you know what? It's because I'm on the iOS 17 developer beta. I need to
Mm,
turn off the beta.
yeah.
Do I need to
You're
go
going to
to
have a lot of
iOS?
progress bars in your future. Good luck,
I
buddy.
guess I'm going to turn it off.
I had
Upgrade to
to
iOS
upload
18.
I had to upload 200 gigabytes of data to iCloud and then download 200 gigabytes of data to iCloud. I'm like, In this year, 2024, there's not a better way to do this, but that's how we did it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, now I got to turn off automatic updates. Don't do that. Automatic download. That's fine. Okay, yeah. Okay, I need
All
to
right,
charge my
let's end this
phone. Go from
thing.
there.
I can't watch you charge your phone. It's
It's why
impossible.
charging. I'm gonna update that. I'm gonna update personally to iOS 18. I don't know. I won't get any new
18
AI
one.
features. So, well, no, I don't get.
Oh,
I'm on iPhone
you
11.
you're
I don't get anything.
does that thing even run iOS?
Yeah.
Don't you have to like put
No.
Linux on it or something at this
It's
point?
it runs Android. No, it totally works. It's great. Yeah, it runs an Ubuntu stack. No, it's great. No, it works. I swear it's a phone that works, Frank. It totally works. So we'll see. All right. Well, that's gonna do for this week's Merge Conflict. Welcome back, me, and welcome back to everyone. And we will be back next week with more Apple Intelligence. Just like you can get it soon too, and we'll let you know. I don't know. I'm really tired, Frank. I just got
Smooth. Real smooth.
it was 24 hours in the air. It's a very long
I
flight.
can't believe you're talking.
It's good. All right. That's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.